thinking of, like when you say that you approach people and verify them and stuff like that, I'm thinking of the old, give me your ID,
right?
Know? And you're obviously, that's not what you're doing.
That's the ACLU thought too, and they were about to come knock on our door when another lawyer came and talked to them and said, you know, that's not what they do. When we talk to people, when we ask them for ID, we don't actually ask them for ID. We let them know that they could give us their ID if they want to go into what we call a good person file. The good person file is a Facebook page that we set up for each community, and we put the person's IDs in there to let them know who these people are that are in their community. If they want to, it's not totally optional thing that they can take advantage of. Same thing with people handing out flyers. I tell them if they agree not to hand out any flyers, it's a public area, they can hand them out if they want to. But if they agree not to walk around and hand out these flyers, then we'll put their flyers into the Facebook and it'll stay there and it'll be an advertisement for them 24/7 indefinitely. Unless they come back and hand out flyers, and we'll remove it from there. But if they will simply stay out of the area and give us the flyer, we will submit it. It will stay in that Facebook. It'll be one of the advertising pages that'll stay there for that community. So they get more for simply wanting to comply with not knocking on people's doors, whether, you know, senior citizens, they want to live in peace and not be in fear when someone's knocking on their door unannounced in the middle of the day or in the evening. Some guys, you know, that you don't know is at your front door.
See, but even like you just said, you know, you get them to want to comply. You know, I mean, my level of distrust of the police says, you know, you're not going to get me to want to comply. You know, because you're being combative in the first place.
Right.
You know,
what we want to do is we want to say, you know, example is I came across this kid, 3:30 in the morning, all black on, and this particular kid fit the description of someone who broke into my grandmother's house. There was a it was 3 boys and 1 girl that were breaking into homes. My grandmother confronted them in her neighborhood here in Detroit and told them to leave, and they ran. Come to find out, they had done this to many homes in the area. They've been breaking in, and so I volunteered my team to help this community. And they, what we did was we just saturated the community till we found these people. I found this kid that matched one of the descriptions of one of the home invaders, and I drove up to him and I said on camera, "Young man, be careful. There's criminals out here that are robbing people." I said, "Have you seen anything suspicious while you've been out tonight?" It's like 3 or 4 in the morning. He said, "No, I haven't seen anything strange." He's on the phone doing the drift on the phone. The drift on phone is they're walking with no purpose, acting as though they're on a phone call. And they're drifting. You can actually see in their gait of how they're walking, and they're not trying to get from point A to point B. They're just simply looking like they're going somewhere, when in reality they're drifting around. And that is a pre-hunting predator subconscious action. They don't know that they look like that. They think they look normal. The truth is, you can tell they're not going anywhere. They're kind of just sauntering about. They're not actually with forward momentum going anywhere. So as I pulled up to him and I started filming him, he sees the light. He goes, "Why are you filming?" "Oh, just to make sure that we show that we're being professional in how we talk to you, sir. I'm sure you understand, young man, we don't want people to think we were rude to you." And he was like, "Oh, yeah. I said, "Listen, be careful. There's criminals out here. You see anything suspicious?" He goes, "No." I said, "Listen, there's 3 guys." And I said, one of them is a light-complected African-American male, about your size and about your age. Looks very similar to you. Have you seen anyone looks like you out here? He said, "No." I said, "Well, be careful, because they're out here robbing people. It's a girl with 3 guys." He goes, "Oh, I'm glad you told me." I said, "Well, you are welcome." I said, "Now, we're going to make sure you're safe. As you walk through the community, we're going to make sure nobody robs you, okay?" He said, "Good. Can you follow me home? I live down the street." I said, "We sure can." From that day forward, no one else got robbed. All the break-ins stopped.
Yeah, and I think many people, like, if they see something suspicious in their neighborhood or maybe someone on the corner that looks like they might be casing, I don't think their instinct is to just go and talk to them in any manner. So the idea of just engaging with someone is very, very disarming.
Right, and then the fact that I let him have a way out. I didn't have to confront him. "How's it going today?"
Good. How are you?
"All right, excellent. How are things?"
Good.
"Okay, have a great day." And so by us stopping like that and talking to people and interacting with them, they know we're here for them, not against them. When I first started here, as we pulled up in our different vehicles, all black, always our vehicles are black and chrome, and have our insignia on the doors. Anytime we pulled up and we said, hello, how are you? The people were offended. They thought we were harassing them. They're like, I didn't do anything. Like, sir, ma'am, we're just checking on you to see if you're okay. I'm okay. You got a problem? No, ma'am. I was asking if there are any problems so we can help you with them and help address them. You're gonna help us. Yes, ma'am. We're here. We work for you. Oh, you're not police? No. We're your security. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were giving me a hard time. I said, wow. And this went on for the first 6 months we were here. People were literally offended as we pulled up to say, how are you today? Which is another reason why we had to record, because people couldn't believe we were actually being that nice.
That's the experience they have with the police.
Right. And, you know, it was so offensive. It's so offensive that the African-American community here has to view the police as their enemy, but yet they have to have police in order to live. And the sad thing is, there's a definite racial divide here, and the police do respond differently to the people that are moving in from the suburbs. They tend to be more helpful and more positive in their interaction, and so they are actually pulling up and stopping and talking to them. But they're not talking to the people that already lived here, unless they knew them or, you know, used to be police officers or something. And that's totally inappropriate. So, but you see how everyone has this, like that lady, she thought to, I don't know if you heard her, she actually yelled when I was driving by, and I turned around, and she felt comfortable to come over and say, hey, get some stickers. And I like the fact that, and she was actually bitten by a dog one day, and we gave her first aid and chased the dog out of the community for her. And she was one of the ladies who said, you know what, because of you, we're not going to sell our home here in Detroit. You know, I've lived here for 60 years, and me and my husband have been married for 60 years, and we're living here. We raised our children here in this house. You know, we have a house in Florida too. These are wealthy people. They have multiple homes. They said, we love Detroit and we want to stay here. And because of you, we're not going to sell our home. We pay taxes here. We don't feel protected. We don't feel safe. But because you guys are here, we actually do feel that we can still maintain our home that we've been in for all these years. It does. It makes me feel proud, man, to know that someone's quality of life has been changed in a positive way because of our actions. Because what do we have to shoot someone? Did we have to tackle people? Do we have to? No, just being nice, responding, and looking at them as though that's my grandmother. What would I want someone to do if that was my mother, my grandmother?
Yeah, it wasn't more of the same what they were used to, force and police.
Right. And then we never talk what we can't do. We always talk what we can do for you. It's a very important principle. We're Americans. We can do things, not Americans. Never talk about what we can't do. Very important principle. As I explained to my team members, always talk about the positive, the affirmative. Everything's about what you can do. Never discuss what you can't do. And anytime you can't do something, if it's absolutely something you cannot pursue, always blame someone else, like the government, because it's their fault that we can't do more. The laws will not allow us to do X, Y, and Z, but you never say, no, we can't do that. We say the laws won't allow us to do that. Very important, because it's not our choice. Some things we can't do because the law says we can't. So, you know, we're not going to break the law unless the law prevents us from protecting someone's life. We'll never let anything or anyone stop us from protecting human life.
It's a good highest priority.
So, you know, we're going to be always in compliance with law, but if we have to do something that's not necessarily legally compliant, but it saves lives, then we're going to do that. And that happened, that was a transition for me, because I let a 14-year-old girl get attacked because police threatened me. In 1995, a young girl was being attacked by a mob, and I kept calling the police, and the day before this sergeant had threatened me. He said, you know, if you get involved in any altercations out here, we're going to come after you. And so I let this girl get attacked, and, you know, and then I just, you know, tried to follow up. I took the little girl and her mother, after yelling at her mother, I took her to the hospital, and I took her mom and her daughter. After she got out of the hospital, I took her to the police station, and
saw the reaction.
And they were mistreated her, and that was what made me change. From that day forward, I never let anything stop me from helping people. The police literally yelled at this little girl who'd been a victim of crime, did not arrest the people that perpetrated the crimes against her, and I gave them all the names and the locations. They just did not care about prosecuting the people who did wrong to the little girl. 14-year-old girl attacked by a mob. And lots of people called. They just didn't care. And I cared. And from that day forward, it was really easy for me. I knew what I was going to do every day. I was going to do every day with the same thing I would do for my family in the same exact condition. I would not let anyone intimidate me or stop me in any way from doing what's best. And that's the way I train my team members. They say, well, what do I do about this, sir? What should I do if this happens? And when, what can I legally do here? Well, legally you can do whatever it takes to create safety, but most importantly, remember this. Do the same thing for other people's families that you would do for your own family in the exact same situation, then you can't go on. So I don't want to hear, oh, I didn't know if anyone was in the backyard, I didn't go back there. Unless you wouldn't have gone in your own grandmother's backyard under the same conditions. If your mom called and said, I think someone broke in the house, would you say, well, call us back if you hear anything else? Or would you go over there and check your mom's house?
Yeah, I like what you said earlier about if you saw your uncle with a gun, will your first instinct to be to shoot him? No, you're trying to talk him out of it. And that's
right.
Like, I remember when I went to school for law enforcement and went to do some of the background stuff. At one point, they were like, how would you handle these scenarios? And one of them was like, you see your mom speeding or something. And my response was like, however I would treat somebody else, I would treat my family member the same, And so that's kind of like what you're saying.
Oh, I said that once, and they said that's not what you say.
How you doing?
Sorry, what did they say, Jim?
Yeah, they asked me once, like, when they get you on the board, like, to hire you, they're going to ask you, would you write everyone a ticket equally? And say yes, and they say, so you'd write your mother a speeding ticket if you pulled her over? And they said, the guy who was talking to me said, you don't say that you're going to write your mom a ticket because they know that you won't. So just say that, be honest and say, no, I wouldn't write my mom a ticket.
What? They want
Yeah.
that just
He said they'll consider you.
Because then they believe that you're being honest with them. Because
it also gives you the thought that it's okay,
Well, everyone knows that one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to select who you're going to enforce laws against. People you know and like, you're not going to enforce laws against, period. Yeah. And so...
you have the blessing of your commanding officers in that case, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's the industry. It's the way they think of their position. They think of their position as one where they're supposed to be making selective deal. Okay, I have no problem with that, but you can't select based on your own feelings. You have to select based on the mission. So, for example, if this lady's not supposed to have a gun, but someone's trying to kill her, you may decide she should have a gun because I know someone's trying to kill her. She should keep herself alive. Okay, I got that. Now, if you're selecting because you're having sex with her, or because she won't have sex with you, you're selecting what you're going to do or not do for this lady, that's inappropriate. And that, unfortunately, is normally the case. Nepotism and cronyism. Cousins and friends.
No disincentive against it.
No, absolutely not. No, there's actually an incentive for it. If they find out you said you give your mother a ticket, then you're either A, a liar, or B, a bad guy. Because they don't want a bad guy, a guy that will write a ticket when they shouldn't. So one officer pulled over another officer who was speeding and said, come on, man, I'm on the job. And the guy said, you're getting a ticket right now. And he goes, what? Call your sergeant. So he called the sergeant. Sergeant was like, come on, man, what are you doing? He goes, I'm giving him a ticket unless you say not to. Tell me not to write the ticket and I won't write the ticket. I'll break the law. And I'll say that you're the one who made me break the law. He said, no, Jess, I'm not going to tell you not to write the ticket. I'm going to say, why don't you do the right thing? And he goes, I'm doing the right thing. I'm enforcing laws. So the chief of police actually comes to the scene of Detroit. She comes out to the street to say, are you serious about writing this ticket to another fellow officer?
How dare you?
He was like, unless you tell me not to, say the words, do not write the ticket, and I won't write the ticket.
She wouldn't say it.
No one would.
can't. It would show the hypocrisy in the law.
What he would do is he would have a case against them.
Yeah.
And that's what he was trying to build.
It would put the responsibility on the parties that belongs on it.
Yeah, he was trying to build a case. So the really honest officers have a really hard time in law enforcement. And I have a lot of them that have come to me over the years with stories, horrible stories, of things that they've been a part of, that they've seen, that they've witnessed, and there's nothing they can do. And I'm talking about from commanders on down. It's just something they've learned to accept. Inappropriate situations, one type or another. There's so many internal issues within law enforcement, personal issues, that honestly, if you knew about them and the lawsuits that take place inside the police departments, you'd understand that they're going through a lot, and a lot of it is because of the culture. So if you wanted to change what happens with civilians, you have to change what happens with law enforcement officers by changing the culture by which they operate. You know, you'd have to change their culture, and that's what they need. They need a belief system and a culture change. The belief system has to be in altruism and heroics, and the culture has to be in positivity.
Well, that's why I get my attitude, because they don't want to accept that.
No, they don't.
You know, they don't want to hear that. They don't want anybody to come along and change that.
No, they don't. They're holding on to it. And so the only way to see the change is to go a different direction. They just don't want to do that. They hate change. People hate change in general. Law enforcement especially hates change. I think to introduce electronics into their life, cameras and that kind of thing, it would destroy law enforcement as you know it. Just using our system alone, how we communicate and how, like, we do something called live linking. So unlike in this car right now, my personnel are listening from one location into the car that's out. Another car, so all three of them are linked. Another car, the four will be linked. So they're all listening to each other at all times. So you can't say anything inappropriate in the car because people are listening. If you go to mute, they can tell that too, which you're not supposed to do. There's also tracking devices. There's hidden tracking devices, and there's overt tracking devices. The hidden tracking devices, they know about those as well. They just don't know where they are. So there's never a time where you think, oh, I can go wherever I want in the vehicle. So just that alone, with the part where you have to tell where you are, when you are, and there's other people that are what we call scapping, screen capturing your location, at random intervals. So if I say I'm going from here to there, they're going to take a picture of me. And I can't alter that picture. And the guy over there at the oversight, he can't alter the picture for me. He can't go, I'm going to make it look like he's somewhere else. He can't do it. It's from the satellites. Everything we do is by GeoPick. It's by satellite technology, GPS, and there's no way you can change that data. The time, the actual location, you cannot change it or alter it.
There's a guy I met named Rick Reinerson. He's got a car. We made a video called like Spy Car to Stop Unscrupulous Police or something like that. But his big thing, he got a couple stops where he felt wronged, and he got his phone there, but he failed to film, and in retrospect wish he did. So then he dumped a bunch of money into his car to outfit it with 10 cameras and 5 audio recorders, including a detachable one, and like all these other safety mechanisms and the devices that store it in the car, devices that look like they're a decoy throwaway device that the police employee might take, and then also like devices that stream the content out of the car, bulletproof, like car windows, smoke screen, all this stuff.
Smart.
But his whole thing at the end, he's like, technology. He's like, is going to save the day. He's like, it's not politics, not activism. Those things are great to educate, but he said it's technology, and that'll level the playing field. And like you say, I mean, if you're comfortable saying something in front of us, you should feel comfortable saying it in front of whoever wants to see, I guess, if the content's put online.
Right. I agree.